Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the Fear the Bones campaign for the F-14 in DCS World. I've just finished playing this campaign over on my channel and thought I'd leave my thoughts on it. So, a bit of a background of the campaign. It is a fictional campaign that is very story driven, set in a slightly alternative 1989, where instead of collapsing, the Gorbachev regime ends up at war with NATO over an incident in the Black Sea which you are taking part. And so you are flying F-14s out of a carrier fleet group that is very isolated in the middle of the Black Sea, fighting off the Russians in what is an increasing war, and there is plenty there to do. Now, I really loved this campaign, no point bearing the lead, I really enjoyed it. There aren't all that many missions. There are 13, I believe, playable missions. 2 other missions are more just cutscenes. But it is really fun. Every mission is varied. There isn't really any repeats, so you're doing something different each time. Vast majority of the missions are really focusing on air-to-air combat. There's a couple of ground attack missions thrown in there, but they're only with the cannons, so it's not like really big ground attack. But the air missions that they have are really fun, really involved. They have a lot of variation between them, whether you're intercepting bombers or providing escort or just doing cat flights. Really interesting mix of scenery as well. Sometimes you're out there in the middle of the night, sometimes you're in a storm, sometimes it's a beautiful day. Really making the most of what they have in the Caucasus map. In terms of the skill level, it is moderately high. Certainly I went into it without really knowing much of the Tomcat. It was a bit of a learning curve initially, but not too bad. It does throw you into things like night landings and air-to-air refueling really quite early on in the campaign, but it does quite easily warm you up to the actual combat, starting with much easier combats and then building it up as it goes. As I said, I managed it fine, being really quite a new person to the Tomcat. I can imagine more advanced players will get into it a lot easier, but can still probably find quite a lot of challenge in trying to get all the missions done successfully first pass, or trying to see how many air-to-air kills they can get and so on. Now, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. I do have a couple of criticisms of the campaign. My main one is mission 11, which was just the mission that really didn't land well for me. It is the closest the campaign gets to a do-nothing mission, in that it has 90 minutes of just flying around with nothing going on but voice stabs. And the voice stabs are fairly interesting the first time, but after that, if you're having to repeat it, it really does drag on. Even with time acceleration, it takes a good half hour before you get to the interesting part. And then, kind of to save it, but kind of to doom it, Mission 11 then ends with an incredibly complex, very difficult segment. So it's kind of the worst of both worlds. It's got a very slow, boring start, but then is very easy to fail towards the end. Meaning that I had to try it again more than a few times. It does have an in-mission save halfway through, but you can only use that in-mission save if you Shift R to restart the mission. Doesn't work if you quit out of DCS and try again another time. And it's a real shame that mission started with the very slow part that it did, because the second half of that mission is actually really fun. It would be one of the campaign highlights if it wasn't for this hour and a half tacked on at the beginning. My other little criticism would be going back to the ground strike missions. As I said, the only ground strike you do is using cannons. And I think this was a bit of a missed opportunity. I would have really liked to see them work in a mission there where you drop bombs just for a change of pace. And certainly from a module training point of view, it would have been really nice to get to experiment with dropping ordnance rather than just using the cannon. Really, those are my only real two complaints about the mission. The rest of it is really, really well put together. The story is fantastic. It's one of the few campaigns to actually get a bit of emotion in the story, and it does that very well. The voice acting is absolutely top-notch throughout it, no complaints there whatsoever. And there are a whole load of lovely little touches that the campaign has. Small things like voiced briefings for every single mission really helps put you in the mindset. And also, once you've completed the missions, there are little optional radio things you can listen to with things like interviews taken in 1989 to help draw you into the time. And also really nice little things like the mission complete screen being a arcade style mission complete with 16-bit sound playing in the background. It is just a lot of lovely attention to detail, really, really fun. And yeah, I would thoroughly recommend this campaign. Other than that tiny little stumble on Mission 11, the rest of it is absolutely fantastic. Thoroughly recommend this to anybody who's new to the Tomcat or someone who knows the Tomcat in and out and just wants something to really just dive in and have a good story experience with it. So yeah, I've not been let down yet by any of Reflected Simulation's campaigns. No, whenever I'm doing one of his campaigns, I know it's going to be good, it's going to be quality, and really looking forward to the next campaign that I do. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this review, if you agree with it, if you disagree with it. Was I too harsh on Mission 11? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Please let me know down below. And otherwise, next week we should be starting a brand new series. Till then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.